How's it going, everyone? It's Javi from Weather SpongeBob 1000, and of course, in this video, we're going to talk about this next major severe weather outbreak that we've been talking about over the past several days that's expected to impact the Midwest as well as the Southeast with large hail, damaging winds, and the potential for significant tornadoes. Well, before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the GFS model, taking a look at how the GFS model forecasts the radar to look right now. You see that for the most part, most of the United States is clear. However, we do have some snow showers and a little bit of rain showers going on throughout the northwestern portion of the United States. And this trough, while it's not very potent when it comes to the amount of moisture it has, it's expected to bring some severe weather later tonight and into early tomorrow, as there's just going to be enough instability to where we're going to see just a little bit of lift in the atmosphere right around the Arkansas, Missouri region to experience some severe weather in that area. So if I were to continue to move forward, you see that the trough does begin to move northward, and as it does so, we see a strong southerly flow, and as a result, a lot of this southerly and with the southerly flow is very humid and warm air that's gonna be forced upwards as a result of this cold air advection that's going on just north of this jet stream dip. And as a result, we're gonna see some severe weather go on. While I wouldn't say this will be the worst of severe weather you're gonna experience this week, I'd say far from it. There's still going to be at least some thunderstorms where it could be classified as severe. It won't necessarily be over a widespread area, nor will it be extremely numerous, but there is that possibility of some severe thunderstorms developing around the Sunday to Monday time frame. But I wouldn't expect the significant thunderstorms to approach the Midwest until more like Tuesday and Wednesday, when this next trough that's currently located right around the Pacific Northwest moves through, and we begin to see a lot more convection, but because behind it, the second wave is expected to bring a much more significant jet stream dip. So as a result, some more significant severe weather threat is expected for the Thursday time frame. If I were to continue to move forward, you see that this next wave is going to bring a much cooler than average air mass just to the west of this low pressure system, and as a result, it's going to be forced to interact with this warm air, and we're going to see a lot of upward motion in the atmosphere, a lot of lifting air that is very buoyant as a result of this cold air, forcing the lightly dense air located in the Midwest further upwards in the atmosphere. And as a result, we're seeing severe thunderstorms spawn right around Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and you see that this low pressure is pretty strong at 980 millibars. It's amplified by a very strong jet stream dip, which is the reason why this low pressure system is quite strong for mid-latitude cyclone during the spring months. We're seeing that pressure drop to 980 millibars, and along with it, we do see snow on the northern side, which really shows the amount of instability there will be in the Midwest by the Wednesday and Tuesday time frame, because we have this strong southerly flow bringing that very warm Gulf of Mexico air further upwards, and we have this very strong northerly flow bringing that very cold Arctic air further southward that's cold enough to bring snow throughout the Pacific Northwest and the areas in the northern United States, and that's what's creating a very strong severe weather threat for the Tuesday time frame. Now, it's still uncertain a little bit how significant this will be. We really need to determine the amount of moisture there will be in the atmosphere located in the southeast, because while we do see some thunderstorms spawning with the GFS model, you see that it isn't necessarily over a widespread area, and we don't see a large squall line develop until the later time frame, closer to Thursday, where we do see a line of thunderstorms develop as the storm heads further eastward. But in terms of the earlier stages of this severe weather outbreak, you see that thunderstorms are mostly scattered, so the amount of moisture will matter, which is primarily determined by how strong the southerly flow will be, because if it's a little stronger, then we're more likely to see a more moisture for the Midwest, for this low pressure system to work with, for a more widespread severe weather to occur. And of course, it also depends on how far south this jet stream dips, because if it dips a little bit further southward, then we're more likely to see a more unstable environment to support for a lot more significant thunderstorms to occur that are more likely to produce tornadoes and larger hail. So there's definitely some factors we're going to need to pay close attention to over the next several days. When will we see more certainty with the forecast? I'd say it will really begin to see it once this low pressure system actually moves towards land, because that's when we'll determine the position of the jet stream, which will as a result determine the strength of the low pressure system, and as a result the jet stream dip, as all those factors really come together to create this forecast. And we're going to need to pay attention to each factor, such as the strength of the low pressure system, the position of the jet stream, and they kind of go hand in hand, these two factors, because of course if the storm's a little stronger, then it manipulates the position of the jet stream. But if the jet stream is positioned in a way to make the storm stronger, then it'll manipulate the jet stream position even more. So they kind of go hand in hand, these two factors, and we're going to need to see which scenario will be the more correct one before we could make a more confident forecast when it comes to the significance, the impacts of this severe weather outbreak that's expected to occur. But like I've been saying over the past several days, it's pretty much certain you're going to experience severe weather threat. The question still remains of how significant. Will we see a major tornado outbreak out of this, or will this not necessarily be very strong when it comes to tornadoes? We're gonna have to wait and see, but I could assure you that there will be at least a couple of tornadoes. The real question is how much tornadoes, and will this necessarily bring a widespread area of large hail? Still questions that need to be answered. That really all depend on how far south the jet stream dips and how strong this low pressure system will be, and also the amount of moisture that will be in the atmosphere. Those all play a role. But if we were to take a look at the Cape levels throughout the Midwest, which really determine how much lift there will be in the atmosphere, you see that throughout Sunday and into tomorrow, you see that there's a decent amount of convective available potential energy throughout the Midwest, which will lead to some thunderstorm activity for the Monday time frame, where some of these thunderstorms could be considered severe, so watch out for that. But you see that it only enhances as we head further and further into the week, where we do see the Cape levels exceed 2,000 joules per kilogram, and we even see some levels exceed 3,000, which is very significant. And we're even seeing readings of 4,000, which would mean that there's so much lift in the atmosphere that significant thunderstorms are likely in that area, or in areas surrounding the area where there's over 4,000 joules per kilogram of convective available potential energy. So that's something we're going to need to be aware of. It's still uncertain if this is correct based on what the GFS model is forecasting. It's a little bit more difficult to forecast the amount of lift there will be in the atmosphere, or Cape there will be in the atmosphere headed into the Tuesday time frame. But I could at least show you that a major severe weather threat is likely as a result of convective available potential energy levels is high. And while it is subject to change, I don't think that we're gonna see any sort of extremely significant changes when it comes to the convective available potential energy levels. So that's certainly something to be aware of, that there's so much lift in the atmosphere that the large hail is certainly likely associated with a lot of these thunderstorms and damaging winds, because the air pressure along the surface will be so low. And in terms of the amount of wind shear the GFS model is forecasting when it comes to this upcoming thunderstorm threat, let's look at the threat for Monday. So if I were to focus more in on the thunderstorm activity that's expected throughout Illinois, you see that there's a decent amount of wind shear in the lower levels of the atmosphere, but for the most part, you see that the winds are primarily moving the same direction, so the tornado threat will be very minimal by the for today and into tomorrow throughout the Midwest. But it does increase if we were to move on to the Tuesday time frame, where if I were to show you guys the wind shear within the supercell thunderstorms, you see that there's a decent amount of wind shear where along the surface, winds are primarily coming from the south, but it changes more to a westerly direction as you head into the upper levels of the atmosphere. And taking a look at other supercell thunderstorms, how the winds are looking like throughout the surface level, mid levels, and upper levels of the atmosphere. If we were to take a look at that, you're going to see that there's also going to be a decent amount of wind shear in these supercell thunderstorms as well, where you see that the winds do vary with height, and that could lead to a more significant tornado threat. It's going to be difficult to forecast the exact direction the winds face in the between the upper levels and the surface levels of the atmosphere, but it's certainly going to be a factor when determining the tornado threat you will experience. So make sure to keep that in mind throughout the United States. Now, in terms of the Futurecast radar, when you should expect severe weather in each area, you see that for most of Sunday, the severe weather threat should pretty much be non-existent almost, but you see that very early on Monday we do see thunderstorms develop as a result of a strong northerly flow associated with this low pressure system moving northward into the United States and Canadian border, and as a result it does develop some thunderstorms very early on the overnight hours on Monday to very late on Sunday. So that's something to keep in mind, that there could be some morning thunderstorms for you guys right around Missouri. And heading even more further into the future, you see thunderstorms develop throughout Kentucky, Missouri, and I think the biggest threat associated with these thunderstorms will be primarily damaging winds. Not much impacts in the form of hail or tornadoes, since there isn't enough instability. But you see that will change head into the Tuesday time frame, where we do see a wide array of scattered thunderstorms develop throughout eastern Texas, Louisiana, and extending into Alabama and Arkansas as well, where I'd say by Tuesday afternoon we should see the thunderstorms develop as a result of daytime heating and an enhanced amount of instability as a result of that. So make sure to keep that in mind, that by Tuesday afternoon severe weather should begin for Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Alabama. So another thing we're going to need to pay attention to is the rainfall threat, and you see that there are going to be some areas more strictly closer to Tennessee and the area between Kentucky, Illinois, and Missouri, right around Paducah, Kentucky. You see that you could receive over 3 inches of rain, and a large area outside of it you could receive close to, if not over, 2 inches of rain. And while it might not seem that significant, you have to keep in mind that this rain could fall at a very fast clip, so flash flooding may be a possibility. I don't necessarily expect a major flash flooding threat out of this, but I wouldn't rule it out in some of these supercell thunderstorms that do develop later during the week. Now, taking a look at what the National Weather Service is forecasting when it comes to the worst of severe weather. So taking a look at today, you see that only a small area is expected to receive maybe a slight chance of severe weather. This will primarily occur right around the extreme late night hours on Sunday, approaching the overnight hours on Monday, or the early morning hours on Monday. You see the tornado threat is minuscule, as primarily the biggest threat associated with these thunderstorms today will be wind and large hail, so make sure to pay close attention to that. Taking a look at day 2, you see that now this extends to Arkansas, Texas, and the area is a little bit larger, where you do have a slight chance of severe weather, and the chance of large hail and damaging winds does increase over a wider area. Still a slight chance of tornadoes, not really going to be much of a tornado threat associated with these first wave of thunderstorms of a severe weather outbreak, but you definitely need to pay close attention to wind and large hail, and an enhanced risk is there for the Tuesday time frame, where you are far more likely to receive severe weather with this second wave that's moving through, where the unstable air will be a lot more in that area. And taking a look at the 4 to 8 day time frame, you see that severe weather is also more likely for the south central portion of the United States, so make sure to pay close attention to that in the southeast for the chance of large hail damaging winds, and I think a tornado threat could be possible depending on how much instability there will be. And in terms of the area where I do expect major severe weather, I'd say the major severe weather will most likely occur the Tuesday and Wednesday time frame. It should occur within this large area. I'd say tornadoes, at least a couple of major tornadoes are likely, but there is that possibility we could see a significant tornado outbreak out of this. Really depends on how significant that jet stream dip will be and how much unstable air there will be in the southeast. And of course, we need to see if the upper level winds will be strong enough to support for a strong tornado outbreak. We're gonna need to wait and see. There's still a little bit uncertainty, but I could assure you that major severe weather is likely this week for a lot of the southeast as well as the Midwest, so make sure to pay close attention to that throughout the United States. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather related content, and I hope you guys have a great day.